Okay, I talked about two colliding cycles. We've seen some information about the innovation cycle. Now we're going to talk about the crisis cycle. And the crisis cycle is going to sound a bit negative, but when you combine it with the innovation cycle, you can see how an optimist, we can look at the great opportunity that we have. So if we add crises and look at this same chart, we can see again, the first industrial revolution, second industrial revolution, technology revolution, and life sciences revolution. That's just sprouting up here in the period where we're at. Now, if we highlight some of the major crises in society, and I learned about this piece from Neil Howe and William Strauss and their books. But if we take these periods of time where there's massive innovation sprouting in society, not only in the new cycle, but also the maturity of the previous cycle, we see another set of interesting dynamics. During this period in the United States, we had the Civil War. During this period in the United States, we had the Great Depression and World War II in the world. I said in the United States, but I meant in the world. And during this cycle, history shows us that we can expect between 2006 and 2026 a series of magnifying crises. And we'll talk about why. And if we go back one more cycle out here, and this would be the first industrial revolution. During that period, we had the Revolutionary War. And this distance between the end of the Revolutionary War and the end of the Civil War, if we look at here to here, this is 82 years. If we look at the end of the Civil War and the end of World War II, this is 81 years. And if we look at the end, if we take that pattern and say, well, let's go forward about 80 years, we end up at 2026. And so the question is, all right, that sounds kind of doom and gloom, and how can you take past and forward and project it forward that quickly? But we're only looking at 3 cycles within the United States. But if you look back over thousands of years, you can see cycles repeat across the world. And one of the interesting things that we have is the Revolutionary War fought for freedom and justice for the United States, a new beginning. The Civil War fought for freedom and justice for everyone within the United States. So we're aligning, and making sure that everybody had, all men and women had that same opportunity. Here, the fight was for freedom and justice around the world, so it was expanding. And here we can expect that it's going to continue to expand and include the entire globe. And one of the reasons is, as Strauss and Howe highlight, is that you had in World War II much of the world coming together within that war. And so after the war, you have a new beginning. Now, for some, the new beginning is bright and rosy, and others, it's very, very difficult to come out of it. But you had many countries starting their new beginning right after World War II. And in fact, the only part of the world that wasn't part of it is the Middle East, and they're going through a lot of their turmoil right now with their revolutions. One of the things that's really fascinating with these crises is that about 10 years prior to each of these windows, you can see what the crisis is going to be. It's not a secret. So prior to the Revolutionary War in the 1760s, you saw the dynamics really unfolding in England and that led to the Revolutionary War. In the Civil War, you saw in the 1850s the mounting tensions to end slavery that led to the Civil War. And then about 10 years prior to World War II, we could see the mounting tensions and the unresolved issues from World War I that really manifested itself into an even larger conflict war. And then right now, we could look across society and see what issues we're facing today. Since about 10 years before we can start to see this stuff happening, we actually have an opportunity during that time to influence and architect the future. Because once the catalyst happens, once the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, once the World War II, or in the U.S., Pearl Harbor hit, society lost its ability to massively influence how this next wave gets shaped. Fear takes over, and leaders in the world, or in the country, or in business, wherever you are, whatever your influence is, look for immediate solutions, as immediate as possible, to solve the crisis that they're in. During the Great Depression, Roosevelt reached over and grabbed a plan for Social Security that had been worked on years before and instituted it like that. Now, you look at the impact of Social Security on society today, you can see that that decision influenced society for the next 80+ years. And so decisions that we are making right now, history shows us, will be in place. They will start to frame the foundation of the next wave of society. And I'm going to get into some specifics about that right now.